Thank you, everyone, for joining 15 Minutes with Judi. I'm Judi Platz, Chief Customer Officer of Support Logic, and today I'm joined by Emre Tekoglu from Zywave. Zywave has been your home for what, roughly 4 years now, Emre, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, 4 years. I've been here 4 years.
Prior to that, we overlapped a little bit at Salesforce, where you were also in the support organization. And before that, you've been at organizations like Central Square and Superion. So fair to say, long time in the support industry.
Yeah, 22 years. It's going to date me, but yes, 22 years.
That's fantastic. We've talked about this, I know, in other occasions, the fact that people can, in fact, make support a home and be there. It's fine if you use support as a starting basis for your career, but there's others like us who love it and make it our life mission to be in support. So I always appreciate running into somebody who's had time in chair.
Yeah, mine was accidental step into support. I was hired as a consulting and trainer for our financial ERP solution. 2 months into the role, one of our people on the support team went on to maternity leave. So they asked me as a brand new person, 2 months, doesn't know the product. Hey, what's the least amount of damage you could do? You come over to support, pick up the phone, answer. You could learn the product, you could learn the customer. I went into that, and the team I was part of, it was so good. We clicked, and that turned into a full-time and 22 years. So it was accidental, but lovely accidental journey into support.
That's a great journey into support. Obviously, they saw something in you besides where could you do the least damage. I think you're being humble there.
Yeah.
Hey, we're coming into a pretty amazing time for you and for Zywave. You absolutely, once again, not the first time you've done this, but you absolutely crushed it at the Stevie Awards, Contact Center Leader of the Year. What in the world did you do to win all of those awards? You've done a lot of things. I know that.
Yeah.
What's one of the initiatives that you think really moved the needle for you to win that award personally, but also all of the team awards that you won?
Yes, 4 years ago when I joined Zywave, one of my motivation was to create an award-winning customer support department. So that's what drew me into Zywave. And as I was having conversations with my chief customer officer, I said, that's what I want to do. Are you going to let me do that? And yes, you could do that. And that was the motivation. So first I had to figure out, like, what does it even mean? How can I build an award-winning support team? And the journey started with first, like, researching how we could do that. And we won our first Stevie 2 years ago. It was bronze. And we were over the moon. Like, we won a bronze in customer support award in Stevie. I was like, okay, how can we win silver? Then last year we won more silvers than bronze. Then I was like, we have to get to a gold. How can we win a gold? What can we do to win the gold? And the gold we won this year was in customer support. There's a category. They have a lot of different categories. One of them is transformation in customer service. And that's the one we won gold. And I was able to tell my story over the 4 years in that application. And what really set us apart, and that's the skill I had to learn, telling a story with the data. See, like, and that's relevant with the field we are working in, telling your story with the data, especially in leadership or using tools like Support Logic, improving the product. Same applies to applications with the Stevie Awards. So I had to learn how to tell the story to independent judges whom I had to assume don't know anything about it. So I had to paint picture and tell how we improved and what initiative we took. But if I place one bet that helped us get there, it was, I would say, winning the hearts and minds of the support people in my organization, because it's a team sports. So you have to motivate and inspire people. And I would say that's the one thing that allowed us to do many initiatives by winning the trust of our people, motivating them, and showing up to work every single day to do the right thing. So that's what got us the gold and other awards at Stevie's.
That's wonderful. I've admired your career, and you and I have had conversations about this in the past. Our industry is hard. And it's hard on many different levels, right? You still never know what you're going to do every day because you don't know when you come into the office, so to speak, whether you're remote or not. Is there an outage? Is there something affecting your customers? Are there escalations? But keeping your team together and
Mhm.
keeping the customers happy and keeping the business happy, support is not for the faint of heart, right? At all. And to me, I hope when I'm no longer in the career that people will remember me as a support leader who took care of my people, because ultimately, you and I know it's those people who take care of the customers, right? So keeping them happy, keeping them engaged, keeping them passionate and enthusiastic and curious, I think is important. And like you said, winning the hearts so that they want to follow you and be with
Yeah.
you. Why did you focus on the award winning? What part of that was something that you thought if we become an award winning support org, what were the benefits of that? Because there's people out there listening now who are like, who cares, right? We do our job. Why do we need to win awards? What was that motivator?
It touches base on that customer support is really hard role and you deal with problems.
Yeah.
And if you look at sales organizations, they go to club, they celebrate their events. See, support doesn't have that outlet channel to celebrate. So that was the number one reason. Like, I need to give people a way to celebrate. Because if you think about sports teams, why they are a team, why they communicate, at the end, they want to win championships. And for me, I wanted to create that type of environment where they feel proud. And always tell people, you want to put something on your resume that you're proud of. And I wanted to give people that opportunity. They could say you were part of an X support team, helping achieving X number of CSAT, winning X award. So that was another way for me to motivate the people. And we use that slogan to determine what tasks and initiatives we would tackle, like whether it's right now we use a goal framework called NCT, narrative commitment task, before we use OKR. So it doesn't matter what you use, but when we decided what we wanted to use as goal setting, we were asking ourselves, if we do that task, will that help us make better points on our application to win awards? So we use that as a guiding. Should we do this? Is a good initiative that will get us to gold. So we use that as a decision making to narrow what we prioritize in our support, because there's so many challenges and problems to solve. So that's the other way we use that to our benefit.
That's fantastic. So what did you do when you won? What did the team? They just had to be over the moon ecstatic.
Yeah, so the gold one was a special this year. And it's the Stevie announcement this year changed a little bit different. In the past, they would give you, hey, you're a finalist and you find your final placement at the award ceremony.
Yeah.
This year they changed it. So I'm like, I knew there was an announcement coming up, but I got an email that says, here's the gold, here's the silver. I had to read it a couple of times. Did they make a mistake? Did they say? So I reread it and I'm like, oh, we did win gold. Since I'm working home, I let my wife know right away that we did win the gold, because she knew I was kind of into this and to create it. And I let my leadership know right away. And so then I sent a nice email to our C-level saying, hey, look, we are award winning. We did win gold. So that was the initial reaction when we won the
Yeah.
awards.
I hope you walked on clouds for a couple of days because it really is an amazing recognition. Everybody in support knows the Stevies and knows how important those are. Now, is there still an award ceremony though? Do you get to go to an event?
Yeah, actually tomorrow I'm flying to New York City.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. Yeah, so making the trip there. And hopefully
Okay.
I will run into some other leaders and then kind of compare notes. Hey, what did you do? So
Yeah.
I want to be in that growth mindset of tell me what you did to win, because each leader has different problems and challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not running into them now, but I might run into them or I might share it. So it's tomorrow, and then hopefully I will reach out to more people, kind of compare notes on that.
That's great. I hope you'll reach out to Max. Max lives in New York. Meet him for
Yeah.
coffee, if nothing else.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Max Green, for anybody listening, is our director of customer experience here at Support Logic, and he's been involved with Zywave for, I
Yeah.
think, the entire time you've been a customer.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of our first initiatives. So again, when I left Salesforce, I was like, hey, we need to do more with the support data. And support logic was one of my first initiatives and investment into technology, how we could improve the data. You and I talked about this. Support has lots of good data. The question is, how do we improve the support experience with that? Because support takes a backseat from a spend perspective, from initiatives. And you are also on that same mission. Like you want to change the narrative around that. Support
Right.
is really important. It's equally as important at any department. The more we talk about this, the more we tell that to CFOs, CEOs. Again, glad CCO roles are somewhat relatively new, so they're finally getting more attention, seat at the table. And that was my other narrative, other than award winning. I wanted support to have a seat at the table because at Zywave, each month we have about 5,000 cases. Each case has multiple conversations. We are the one department that talks the most to our customers. So I want to argue like people should listen to us to improve the product, to improve the customer value, customer experience. So the more I could tell that to people, and it's on me, that's one of my opportunities to improve. Like, how can I tell that better? How can I convince the people to invest in support better? So that's an opportunity for me to improve.
Let's touch on that. So you have been a customer of Support Logic, and thank you for being our customer. Tell me, so we're giving you sentiment scores, we're giving you signals, and have you been able to use that information to guide your support strategy? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
One, just to even start today, I start looking at the signals. One of the signals I really prioritize, churn signal. I also focus on the positive, but where I take an action is understand where customers display that churn signal. And then I leverage that data to reach out to our CSM team because that's their kind of lane to retain and customers. So I say, hey, look, this interaction, first I validate if there's a support coaching moment, if you need, could have done something, because sometimes it's outside the scope of support. So we need to pull in our other teammates to help out. So that's how we leverage that data by looping in the CSM and say, hey, look, this customer is not happy. You may want to take the next steps. Other really key strategic initiative is working with the R&D team. Again, to minimize the case volume, support cannot do it by themselves. What we can do is answer cases fast and send follow-up updates, hopefully accurate, timely, solve cases as quickly as possible, again, accurately. But there are certain cases that's going to be outside of our scope of knowledge due to access to tools and skill levels, which is totally fine. However, the support needs to let the R&D know how to prioritize cases. Similar to all other groups, they have resource constraints, so they need to work on the right cases at the right time. So my team uses the data. Sometimes we enter the keywords in the support logic, for example, agency metrics reports or downloads. And then we could spot the case volume over 12 months. And then we overlay that with the sentiment data. Again, without giving the people visuals, but where it's in the support logic on the trend analytics, you could then see maybe negative sentiments for the keyword downloads was 12%. If I remove the keyword downloads, our baseline is, let's say, 4%. So then I go, ooh, when people use the word downloads, their sentiment, negative sentiment goes up from 4 to 12%, and there's case volume. And that's the data we give to R&D and other stakeholders. And they understand that a lot better than any other metrics I provide. So that's how I use the analytics and insights from support logic to convey the message to other departments.
Thank you for that. And like you said, using that data to tell the story. We've both been in organizations where we know our product and engineering team sees, this percent of issues that are defects, this percent that are features. They don't see everything in the middle. And that middle is where the true goodness is. Because if we think of product as the ones creating the software that we're supporting, but we consider support part of the product, right? We're there and we wrap around that product and help customers use it effectively. But look at all the issues that product or engineering never sees. And being able to point to those issues effectively and using that data, again, storytelling, because the customers don't want to run into the issues, but when they do, it's our task to help them through that issue the best we can.
And I also believe customers don't create all the cases too. So they only create cases where they have to. So even the support data doesn't tell the whole story. That's why I believe support really needs to integrate well into the product.
Yeah.
So you could see those moments before. Ideally, again, we talk about proactive support and we talk about personalization. Those are really easy things to say, but really hard to do in support because you have to push your support channel into the product. Then you will know, okay, Judi or Emre is calling in, and Judi and Emre like struggle to take an action after 10 minutes, and we may not call in a case. See, ideally, my support teams will be able to capture that data. Yes, it's somewhat bleeding into UX design and product managers. Again, it goes back to where I started to support, why I started, is to learn the product and learn the customer. I feel like we have that insights and we just need to change the support KPIs more into case prevention versus we don't want to always measure the case resolutions or case tickets closure because they send sometimes wrong signals. We talked when you mentioned support deals with outages, like when we have outage, our case count will go up. So if you measure that, it looks like you did a great job on closing 100 cases in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But was that a good experience for the customer? No. So I'm always on the lookout of how can support leaders challenge and improve, they measure their true performance, again, to make points to their CFO, to CEOs, to invest in support for the right reasons.